Okay, this is number 19. We're going to start with the angles, and my printer printed it kind of wonky, so I just rewrote it here. On number 19 on the test, it tells you that the angles are complementary, and then it asks you to find x, and then the measures of both angles. And again, it just kind of printed off wrong. But anyway, complementary means 90. So anytime you have angles that are complementary, they add to 90 degrees, which means their sum is 90 degrees. And remember, complementary is a pair of angles. So if you've got a pair of angles that add up to 90 degrees. So I've got JKL, which is 9x plus 11, and I've got MSN, which is 5x plus 2, and they're complementary, which means they add to 90. So that angle plus that angle equals 90 degrees, and then you solve. So now let's do some like terms here. So my like terms would be 9x and 5x is 14x. I'm trying to beat the battery here. My battery's running low on my camera. 11 plus 2 is 13 equals 90. And then my next step would be to solve for x. So I'm going to move the 13 to this side. So 14x equals 77. And again, I'm just doing the algebra part. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 14. So x is actually going to come out to 5.5. So your first answer was 5.5. That's x. Okay, x is 5.5. Again, set the two angles up. They add together to equal 90 because they are complementary. So now let's look at this one. All right, sorry, the next part. I have to find the measures of the two angles. Well, to do that, I just take what I got for x and I'm going to plug it in to the angles for x. So let's do JKL first. For JKL, for angle JKL, I have 9x plus 11. That means 9 times 5.5, right? Because that's what x is, plus 11. Okay, 9x plus 11. So 9 times 5 is 45. So this is 49.5 plus 11. So you get 60.5 degrees. So JKL, the measure of JKL is 60.5 degrees. Now I don't know what order they're written on your test. Again, mine didn't print out properly. So now I'm going to look for MSN, the measure of angle MSN. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. For angle MSN, I have 5x plus 2. Well, what's x? 5.5. So I do 5 times 5.5 plus 2. So that's 27.5 plus 2, which is 29.5. Now, how do I know I got the right answer? What do complementary angles, I'll try to speak English here, add up to? 90. X is 5.5, 60.5 plus 29.5 gives you 90. So you got it. Okay. So let's look at the next one now. The next one is the same thing except for what does it tell you the angles are? It tells you on this one that the angles are supplementary. That means that they sum up to 180. So here are my two angles. 13x plus 4 plus LED, which is 8x minus 13. Together, it's going to give me 180 degrees. So I'm going to solve this algebraically. Again, I'm going to combine like terms. I got 13x. So 21x minus 9 equals 180 because 4 minus 13 is minus 9. So now I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So 21x equals 189. And I'm going to solve for x. So divide by 21. Okay. And when you divide by 21, I don't even remember, I think it's 9. So x is equal to 9. All right, so x is 9. But we're not done. I know x. How do I find the other angles? I'm going to take 9. I'm going to plug in for x. So let's do the measure of angle HIJ first. HIJ is 13x plus 4, which means 13 times 9, right? Plus 4. 13 times 9 is 9, that's 117, plus 4 is 121. So HIJ is 121. Okay, I hope I did that right. 90 and 27, 117 and 4. Okay, so now let's do the measure of angle LED. LED is 8x minus 13, which means 8 times 9 minus 13. I'm just plugging 9 in for x. So 72 minus 13 is 59. 59 degrees. And these are correct because these two do add up to 180. So that's how you did the complementary and supplementary angle portions. Now let's move on down to the angle addition postulate. Remember, the angle addition postulate says two smaller angles that are adjacent will add up to the larger angle. So let's go ahead and label what we have. Sorry, I've got some scratchies going on here. Okay, so cat is 8x plus 15. So the first thing I should do is come in here and label this 8x plus 15. That's cat, 8x plus 15 degrees, okay? Rat is 43. Notice how I picked interesting names there. Hopefully cat doesn't eat rat, because then we'd only have one angle left, but that's not important. And then we have CAR, which is the big guy, the entire angle, CAR, which is 20x minus 68, okay, degrees. So how would I set up an equation with these guys? Well, I know the two smaller ones summed together should equal the larger one, so I know cat plus rat is going to equal car, 20x minus 68. And some of you got to this point, but then your algebra got a little bit scary, like Halloween costume scary. So I have 8x plus 15 plus 43, so 8x, I can combine the 15 and the 43, and that gives me 58, positive 58, equals 20x minus 68. Okay, so now I want to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other, the constants on the other. So I'm going to move the 8x, just because it's the smaller one. That leaves me with 58 over here and 12x minus 68 over here. And here's where some of you guys went off the cliff too. I've got the 12x. Now I'm going to add the 68 to the other side. 58 plus 68 is 126. Some of you subtracted and got 10 and got creative, so make sure that you're careful with your arithmetic. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 12, okay, and I end up getting 10.5 for x. Okay, so that's your first part. X is 10.5. How do I find the measure of the two angles now? What am I going to do with that 10.5? I'm going to go plug it in for x here, and I'm going to plug it in for x here. So let's do cat first. Why not? For angle cat, cat is 8x plus 15. And what's x? 10.5. So that's 8 times 10.5 plus 15. Okay, so that's 84 plus 15, which is 99. So cat is 99 degrees. Okay, according to what I have, this is 99 degrees. All right, after we do cat, let's go over and do car. All right, we'll move over and do car. So car is 8x plus 15. Sorry, ignore me. It's been one of those nights. It's 20x minus 68. So 20 times 10.5 minus 68. 20 times 10.5 is 210. So I've got 210 minus 68. And I really don't want to think right now. Okay. So what we end up getting for this one, we get 210 minus 68. So that'd be 50. So 142. So we get that this angle is 142 degrees. Now how do I know if I did it right? Cat plus rat should equal car. 99 plus 43 does equal 142. Okay, so that's how you do the angle addition postulate using algebra. All right, last page, yay! Okay, so let's look at the last page. I love that picture. On the last page here, the first thing you needed to do is draw the adjacent angles. And so number 22 said draw a pair of adjacent angles. That kind of didn't show up on my paper. Draw a pair of adjacent angles. I printed this on my printer at home, and it does its own thing. So, draw a pair of adjacent angles. Well, adjacent angles are two angles that what? Share a side and a vertex and no common interior points. Some of you got the basic idea, but you put your points out here. I need to see where your points are located. It didn't matter what you named them, but your points are here, guys. Your points are not outside the arrows. So angle ABC is adjacent to angle CBD because they share the vertex B and they share the side BC. And they don't share any common interior points. They don't overlap. That's the biggie. It can't be in the interior of both angles at the same time, and I'm running low on battery, so I'm going to hurry up. Okay, coming to the last one. These are a pair of intersecting lines, which means I've got vertical angles. So if that's 114, angle 3 is 114. Okay? 114 and 114. Vertical angles are always congruent. Now let's look at the linear pairs. Well, looking at the linear pairs are straight lines. So if I did this, if that's 114, what's its neighbor? 180 minus 114. Okay, and you'll get 66 degrees. Well, if that's 66, it's vertical with this one, that one's 66. So that's how we got all these angles. Angle 1 was 66 degrees. Angle 2 was 66 degrees because they're vertical, right? And then angle 3 was 114 because it was vertical with the angle that was 114. And then the last task you had was to name some pairs. Well, let's name two pairs of vertical angles. The first one would have been angle 1 and angle 2. You see them here? Those are vertical. And then the other one would have been angle 3 and then the angle that measured 114, because I didn't give you an angle name for that. Okay? And those are your verticals. The linear pairs are the neighbors. Those two, those two, those two, and those two. Those are your linear pairs. So 1 and 3 are a linear pair, and 2 and 3 are a linear pair. But there were 4 different linear pairs, so I took multiple answers. So you could have also said the angle 2 and the one that measured 114, because those guys are linear, and angle 1 and the one that measured 114, because those are linear. So that is it. That is the test, guys. That's got every question answered, including the bonus. So let me know if you have any questions. You can watch this. I'm sorry YouTube pooped out on us tonight. So anyway, I'll get this last one loaded and then everything's there. Okay, and just remember, you have 4 pencils. I have 7 apples. How many pancakes will fit on the roof? Purple, because aliens don't wear hats. That's what we learn in math. And so I will see you guys tomorrow.